In this segment, Stephanie Miller and Noel Casler discuss the latest big stories dominating Washington and beyond the Beltway. Here's Stephanie.
Stop it. Don't poke
You're going to get mail. You're going to get mail.
I think the Bernie dead enders have already turned on Bernie, so I don't know that they will listen to him saying vote for Biden. That's what I said. I don't care if Biden's 11 billion. I'm voting against fascism. I think that's for democracy or fascism. Which is it? It's the starkest choice we've ever had, Noel, don't you think?
Absolutely. And Bernie put it well right there. Do you want the guy who's going to expand democracy, expand the principles that this country is founded and we've sort of applauded all these years? Do you want that guy who's for equality and bringing in more voters and more voices into our political process? Or do you want the team that's appointing secretaries of state that are trying to kick people off of voter rolls, that are trying to make it harder for people to vote, for college students, for minorities? That should be the antithesis of who we are as a people, and it is. And that's what needs to be pointed out.
I gotta say, I agree with Rude Pundit, Jody, that I think this was great timing. It's a big win that Tucker Carlson is gone before the 2024 election, because he is a poison to the body politic. And I love was it Wood's joke? He said Carlson's removal from the air meant millions of Americans don't know why they hate you. Joe Biden, right? I mean, it's true. Without Tucker Carlson telling you why you hate, somebody, I think it was, who was it? Charlie Kirk even said, he said, I think one of the reasons Joe Biden's tough to beat is because he's tough to hate. Then, of course, he went on to say, you almost feel sorry for him. He's a candidate of sympathy. Well, I feel sorry for all the loss he's been through in his life, but I certainly don't feel sorry for him. I think they're right. He's just generally likable, don't you think?
Absolutely. He's a good guy. You should think of it like, which guy would you drop your kids off at their house for a weekend? Do you know what I mean? Would you let your kids go spend the weekend with Biden, and Dr. Jill Biden, and their family? Or would you want them hanging out with Trump down in Mar-a-Lago for the weekend?
There is a risk of an ice cream sugar coma, but yes, I would pick Biden. But, here we go, where they're trying to use their usual racism and misogyny against Kamala Harris, because Charlie Kirk went on to say, Kamala Harris is different. It's very easy to build a movement against someone who's just so arrogant and smug and cackly. Do you just hear uppity for all those words? And self-righteous. It really is the fact that Nikki Haley came out and said, oh, well, Joe Biden will definitely be dead in 5 years. It's just awful, even on a human level.
I agree. And that's the flip side of the coin. Kamala Harris, Vice President Harris, she was my first choice back in the primary.
Me too.
She, to me, is going to be a great president someday, and I hope I see that. But I think that's the flip side of the coin. And I've heard it even from Democrats, unspoken, but questioning Biden's age. It's like, well, God forbid something happens to him. You have a completely competent person ready to jump in, who will bring you that youthful energy and who would make a fantastic president. But I feel like any discussion of his age has that inherent in it, even if it's not said out loud. Misogyny, misogynoir, she's got two things going against her that the American public hasn't taken the leap and pulled the lever for, which says a lot about who we are as a people and how far we still have to come.
Yeah. Let's talk about my favorite topic, Bill Maher. You said Maher had zero pushback on Musk when he told lie after lie about Twitter and free speech. One of the most pathetic things I've ever seen coming from someone in media. He's unwatchable for years now, but this was like a communist apparatchik, grooming Stalin's, can't say that word, gross stuff. Yeah, I don't know what to say about Bill Maher, but you said, I worked with Maher on Marriage Ref and he was late to set, was a hole about it when he arrived and managed to make everyone dislike him on the production staff. He's what happens when you smoke a lot of weed but neglect to check your own ego. The resentments build up and turn into this, right? Someone that used to be considered a liberal, I guess, I have no clue some of the talking points coming out of his mouth lately.
I agree. And I was a fan. Like, I saw Bachelor Party in the movie theater. When he was a big comic, and I loved Politically Incorrect. I was there when it was canceled. I liked the new show on HBO up until about 2-3 years ago after the pandemic. I couldn't watch it.
Yeah. Just the COVID denying and vaccines,
Right. He was complaining about himself. It's like, bro, people just stayed inside and couldn't feed their kids for 6 months. You're a gazillionaire,
right.
Living in your house in Bel Air, wherever you live. Like, This is not about you. And I made that weed comment because that's what happens. Their own ego and their anger builds up in their head. And he's a great example of that. And I didn't mean to tell stories out of school, but when I worked for Seinfeld on that show, he was such a jerk. We couldn't even get him to come to set, and he was like, I'm doing a favor for Jerry. That's the only reason I'm here.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, no, I guess it was last week we were talking about that that's a Republican talking point to bring up Chicago when you're talking about guns. It's like, we get it. It means black, and Mehdi Hassan, thank God, called him out and just said, first of all, not even in the top 20 of deadliest cities. And secondly, the talking point about black on black crime, he said white people kill white people at about the same rate that black people kill black people. Right? I mean, it's just...
Right. It's a racist trope that's dangerous, that's getting people killed. And with Elon Musk, he had no pushback. Elon gave him these talking points about Elon was a pro-free speech guy, and Barr let it go unchallenged. And it's everything is the opposite of that based on what's happened to Twitter in the last 6 months. And marginalized communities are getting attacked every day because of what Elon's doing. And there was no Marr showing up for the vulnerable. It was one rich white bro to another,
Yeah. Well, is woke mind virus? I mean, this whole woke, this is why this is our new sponsor, woke, because it pisses off the right wing. And I don't know, doesn't it just mean not being a jerk to people that are different than you? Yeah. How would this get demonized? You're too woke.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. No, and that's a complete Republican talking point. That's that lack of empathy that the Republicans use as a Pavlovian response in their constituents, right?
Yeah.
That it's not cool to be sensitive and to care for others and to try to be progressive in your thoughts and evolve. We need to get the message out there that it's exactly the opposite. A real man protects the vulnerable among them. He learns things about the climate and about socioeconomic conditions and endemic racism, and he tries to change them in the time he's on this planet. Otherwise, what else are you here for?
Yeah.
More greed, more malice.
Yeah. My favorite cartoon is, sir, you've been in a coma for a month. And he's like, oh, great. I can watch Tucker tonight and drink a Bud Light. Anita in San Antonio, you're on with Noel. Hey, Anita.
Good morning. Yeah, I think Bill Maher started having, he just started whining a lot after the kids at Berkeley protested him coming there. Remember, his Islamophobia is already kind of...
Yeah.
Anyway, I think we need to stop talking about America being divided and start talking about there's a part of America that is delusional white supremacists and have given up on the American experiment.
Yeah.
We're not divided. These people are delusional. And the reason why is because they watch Fox News or right-wing media all the time, who just constantly lie to them, constantly tell them to be afraid of black people, of immigrants.
And, as Noel said, it's just,
people.
we've just become accustomed to these whiny, rich white men, right? I mean, by the way, could I have the tiniest of violins? Here's Trump reacting to Tucker Carlson's firing. I think it's a shame what happened to Tucker. He had the #1 show. He was doing great. His show's very interesting. And he was out there in the sense that he was telling the truth. In the sense that in no sense was he telling the truth. But okay. Right. To me, the other ones are out there because they're lying and they're hiding and they're afraid to talk. He said that he suggested Fox would have been successful in the lawsuit had their lawyers talked about free speech. Their lawyers did talk about free speech. That didn't work because it was pure lies based on your lies about the 2020 election, right? But it's just, absolutely. Here they go with, cancel culture and Tucker. It's like, no, you can call your boss the C word. You're free to do that. You're also free to get fired. I mean, there's this thing like all different rules should apply to them, right?
Absolutely. And there's so much power in their lies, right? Because they control the media and they have so much money that they become untouchable, and they pump this poison into people's brains. And then those people repeat it in their communities. And, the thing about Tucker is, he went to Trinity College, right? He did some time at Yale. He did some time at Harvard. He went to Swedish boarding schools before he went to St. George's, which is on the cliffs
a man of the people. Right. Uh-huh.
Right, exactly. You know what I mean? A fish stick air. The guy's never had a callus in his life.
Right.
He films the show up in Maine in a converted garage that he turned into a TV studio. A buddy of mine, I won't say his name, but he's an anchor at Fox, and he's been at Fox for over 20 years. He was a local affiliate, a local guy who got caught up in the big merger. He's not an uber liberal, but was a normal journalist in comparison to what happened with Fox News. And I asked him about Tucker, and he said everybody hated Tucker at the network. He said everybody hated him. He said his whole production staff was a bunch of 20-year-old racist white dudes, and that's all that Tucker would listen to. And he said, like, the suits and the sort of behind-the-scenes people always hated Tucker at the place.
Yeah, he's the most punchable face in America. Yeah. Oh, if you're not counting Ted Cruz, which take a listen to this.
A White House that's being run by 25-year-old radicals who figure, heck, just let it all default. What do we care? These are little Marxists with no experience in the real world. We need to bring back the Joe Biden who's done this before, not the one who is behaving like a terrorist, which is what Biden is doing right now.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
They are just lost as a party. It's just the gaslighting goes on and on.
Yeah. There's no shame. There's no checks and balances on them, right? Their leader is Kevin McCarthy, a man without a spine or a moral compass, you know? And they're all these guys like that. I saw like Josh Hawley doing a TED Talk or something over the weekend, a clip of just insanity, trying to tell people how to be men. Yeah. It's the lowest common denominator political discourse, and it's dangerous, and we've already seen the results, and we've got to figure out a way to stop it.